It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's a Friday once again.
Hello, my fellow freaks, and welcome back to the channel, and happy Halloween! It is Halloween day, and I hope you guys all have some splendid and safe activities planned for the weekend. Not only is it the final day of October, the great grand celebration of Halloween, but it is also our final review in October, and it is my final recommendation to you guys for the month of October, where I'm just covering some of my all-time favorite Halloween time, spooky season kind of horror movies. And I feel like there is truly no better franchise to end this month of recommendations on other than the Halloween franchise. However, I feel like this week's review is going to be my most controversial one yet. And there are going to be some of you who watched this video, and perhaps now you will think of my opinion as uncredible solely because of this video. Because yes, we are covering a Halloween movie, but it is not going to have Michael Myers in it. Rather, we are going to be covering the most universally hated Halloween sequel, which is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch from 1982 and directed by Lee Wallace. Halloween 3 is a film that has just garnered a lot of hate and backlash since it came out. Since the moment it came out, people have fucking hated this movie. However, I will say within the last few years, I'll say probably the last 3 to 4 years, I have noticed online that more and more people are starting to find a new appreciation for Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. And now it's kind of grown this cult following of its own, and honestly, rightfully so. Hi, hello. I'm one of the freaks that really likes Halloween 3. And I believe that Halloween 3 gets way more hate than what it actually deserves. And a lot of this hate is just solely coming from oh, Michael's not in it. I'll go over a little bit of history with the Halloween franchise in a bit, when we go over our synopsis, so I am going to cover this, but it kills me inside, it's gut-wrenching whenever I hear people shit talk this movie just because Michael isn't in it. Watch the movie, just watch the movie and give it a chance. Just because Michael isn't in it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Now, I do understand people's frustrations when it first came out. I get it, but this is all a conversation we'll be getting into here in a second. In fact, I do think it's fun sometimes to watch Halloween 3 from the perspective of somebody seeing it in theaters and expecting Michael Myers to show up, and just for giggles, trying to see what that perspective was like. But honestly, if you sit down and you actually give Halloween 3 Season of the Witch a chance, it's not a bad movie by any means. People were just mad Michael isn't in it. That's it. And so for our final review of October, not just the final movie of October, but the one that will be uploaded on Halloween day. So otherwise, maybe my biggest recommendation will be this Halloween sequel that a lot of people hate, but it's starting to grow a more recognition, more of a cult following, and I think it's very deserving of that. So let me tell you why you need to give the most hated Halloween film a chance this Halloween season. But first, if you are new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. Any kind of like loud noises or crashing or running that you might hear happening in the background, those are my cats. And my movie reviews tend to be more of a discussion of elements that I find to be good or bad about a piece, rather than just giving you the straight play-by-play of every single thing that happens. So in other words, I do refrain from spoilers as much as possible, but they will arise as they pertain to the discussion I want to have with the film. If you would like to watch Halloween 3 Season of the Witch before the rest of this review, sadly it's not on any of the free streaming platforms, which I do feel like if any of the Halloween movies should be, it should be this one. I feel like it was on a free platform before, but now it's not. Anyway, if you have subscription services, you can find it on Prime, you can find it, I believe, on AMC Plus, and also on Peacock. And then outside of subscriptions, it seems like the standard rental prices for anything nowadays is $4. Or if you want, you can become a pirate. I will look the other way. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into this discussion of the most hated Halloween sequel. Dr. Daniel Chalice is working late when a mysterious murder-suicide leaves him with more questions than answers regarding the victim's behavior and the Halloween mask clutched in his hand. Upon meeting the victim's daughter, Ellie, Dan shares the strange behavior her father exhibited only moments before his death. Together, they investigate the trail leading to her father's demise. During the investigation, however, Dan and Ellie uncover sinister ties that the popular and beloved novelty toy brand Silver Shamrock has to an evil ritual taking place on Halloween night. The narrative alone is one of the biggest reasons why I love and appreciate this movie so much. It has a really cool Halloween narrative that takes place on Halloween night, which is what the franchise was supposed to be to begin with. So let me just very briefly explain like why it is that Halloween 3 is so different from Halloween 1 and 2. So the initial purpose of the Halloween franchise was that it was meant to be a new horror movie. This feels really loud. The initial purpose of the Halloween franchise was to create a new horror movie every year to specifically come out on or around Halloween. And the idea was that every year they would invite different writers/directors to create the new horror movie, the new Halloween sequel. And the only stipulation with making these movies is that the narrative has to take place on Halloween night. It's called Halloween. All of the films in the series are meant to take place on Halloween night and come out around Halloween time. So you're always guaranteed a new creative horror movie every Halloween season. It's supposed to be like a creative anthology amongst like different horror creators and directors and writers, and it was like meant to be this really cool collaborative process. And so when Halloween 2 came about, they had decided to continue the Halloween 1 story. It also was a little bit revolutionary, you could say, because there weren't any other movies where like the sequel picks up directly where the first one left off. Halloween 2 starts immediately where Halloween 1 leaves off, and that was like a new concept, a new thing. And in this regard, like doing them back to back, one Halloween is the original and the second one is like an immediate continuation of the story. It was really cool, and it was like a new evolution of like storytelling in a way. And so Halloween 2, they concluded the Michael Myers story, and Halloween 3, they went on to, you know, basically continue what their initial plan for the Halloween franchise was. Halloween 1 and 2 has to do with Michael. It was supposed to be its own little separate thing, which I think is the mistake that they made. I think it's great. I think it's cool and it's great that like one year it's Halloween and the next year it's like the immediate continuation. Obviously it's beautiful that it happened that way, but by doing it that way, they kind of like forever cemented Michael Myers to be associated with the Halloween name. Like now when you say Halloween, everyone's just going to assume Michael is there. And so like, it's cool, but I think if they really wanted to stick with the anthology stuff, Halloween 2 should not have been an immediate continuation of Halloween 1, because then they went on to Halloween 3 to try and continue the anthology idea that way. And people were upset because obviously 1 and 2 have Michael. I think it's completely reasonable that people were upset that Halloween 3 does not have Michael in it. I get it. But I feel like it's such a shame. It sucks balls that people hated Halloween 3 so much. Or maybe it's possible too that they just didn't have an understanding of what the idea with Halloween even was. So of course, yeah, they're gonna associate it with whatever. It sucks. Because I think the original initial concept for what Halloween was supposed to be is so cool. And like, why has no one else like done this? Is it not like such a cool idea to guarantee a horror movie every October that's a part of like a big franchise, but every year it's like this collaborative effort amongst different writers and directors and special effects art? Like, I think the only reason it failed with Halloween is because 1 and 2 created an association with Michael. And so when they went on to try and change it with 3, they didn't change it per se. They went with their initial idea. People didn't like it because they're already associating Halloween with the whole thing is like aggravating, and it's really unfortunate. I think unfortunate is the best word. I love Michael as much as the next person, but can you really truly say that any of the Halloween movies matter past the second one? Like, how many of you actually remember and like Halloween 4 and beyond? I have seen all of the Halloween movies. I couldn't tell you anything that happens in them beyond Halloween 1 and 2, and obviously Halloween 3, but that's like its own separate thing. So like, it feels like a cash grab. What I'm getting at is that it feels like a cash grab. I get why people were upset, but it's unfortunate that the initial idea of Halloween didn't come to fruition, because I think it's a really cool concept and a really cool idea. I'm really surprised no other directors or group of directors have taken this concept and like redone it. You know, because Halloween couldn't. I don't know. It's upsetting. And Halloween 3 is the one small, like, remnants of what the initial concept for Halloween was. And maybe that's another reason why I, like, cling to it and love it so much. But I felt it very important to share that history with you, because a lot of people just throw around that Halloween 3 sucks. And the only reason people say Halloween 3 sucks is just because Michael isn't in it. And it drives me up a wall. Genuinely, what happened in the Halloween 4? What happened in Halloween 5? Was there Halloween 6? I remember some of H2O. I don't know. All I remember from like Halloween 4 and beyond is that there's a character named Rachel, because my name is Rachel. So why does it's a cash grab. Why does it even matter beyond Halloween 2? Michael's story was done. It was done. Oh my God. I've spent so much time on a rant. We're just in the synopsis. Also, you know what? Just really quick, I am going to be a smartass here. Technically, Michael is in the movie. He's on the TV.
Hey, Charlie, can we have another station?
You got it.
The Immortal Classic, followed by the big giveaway at 9. Brought to you by...
Technically, Michael is in it, so suck it, nerds. One aspect that I do really like about Halloween 3's narrative, though, is how it's sort of a blend of Irish folklore and like modern sci-fi horror, which I'll be getting into a little bit later, more towards the end of the review, and unfortunately is going to be in a spoiler section. I'm sorry, but it has to do with like stuff that's happening at the end of the movie, so. And let me say, I will use sci-fi to define this movie quite a bit, but it's not like a heavy sci-fi. Don't think Star Wars or Star Trek. soundtrack. It is, John Carpenter did work on this movie, and you can tell. That's the first point I will be making. And so I would say the sci-fi tone in this is definitely a very distinct and classic John Carpenter style of sci-fi horror. And I feel like a lot of John Carpenter like leaks through in the story, even though he didn't direct it. If you like or have seen more John Carpenter movies than just Halloween, then I feel like you might understand what I mean when I say that Halloween 3 feels like a John Carpenter movie. Like, it has the soundtrack, it has the special effects, it has the same kind of tone and art direction. I mean, it is a horror narrative with an unexpected paranormal spin and a focus on some massively sublime and unstoppable force. It's sometimes very sci-fi and in other moments very Lovecraftian in its horror. And you're also not always guaranteed a happy ending for the protagonist. Season 3 Halloween of the Witch, it feels to me so much like any other classic John Carpenter flick. Even though, again, it is not directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter is a producer on it, and he does have like other credits, but Tommy Lee Wallace is the writer and director for Halloween 3. On IMDb, it says that Carpenter like helped write it some, but he is uncredited, and also anybody can edit stuff on IMDb, so I don't know how reliable that is or to what extent Carpenter has helped Wallace write Halloween 3. And even when you're just watching the movie, you can tell Carpenter still had like a heavy hand in helping make this film. And I think the most obvious aspect that Carpenter helped make this was with the soundtrack. John Carpenter is listed as one of the composers for Halloween 3, but honestly, you didn't need to look up the cast and credits list to be able to know that, because take for instance, this is the opening, not the opening shot, but like the opening scene of the film and the music that accompanies it. Extremely John Carpenter. And I think it's especially a little reminiscent of the original Halloween soundtrack, which is nice and is a nod back to the first Halloween film. There are a few like nice little nods to the first Halloween film throughout this too, like not only in how the soundtrack kind of sounds, there are moments where the actual Halloween soundtrack is like used in moments of suspense or tension. Usually in these moments, the movie is actually playing on TV. So again, technically Michael is in Halloween 3 as like a cute little cameo. And I also like it that it helps separate the two universes. Like Halloween is a universe, but then Halloween 3 is taking place within a universe more similar to our own, where the first Halloween is a movie, you know? Do you know what I mean? I've tried to explain that to a few people and they have not understood what I'm talking about. But basically, it's like it's planting Halloween 3 to more closely align with our universe and make it feel a little bit more real, which is always like a cool, nice little touch. Also, I mentioned before the special effects, the special practical body horror effects that Halloween 3 has. Mwah. It reminds me of movies like The Thing or In the Mouth of Madness. Very detailed and graphic, just great, absolutely great. Now, a lot of the kills are carried out by like this army of Agent Coopers, but some of the absolute best death scenes that Halloween 3 has actually happens through like more sci-fi means. And again, they are just like a very incredible display of the special visual and graphic effects that you would find in pretty much any of John Carpenter's films. I'll go ahead and say what my favorites are because they aren't really spoilers, I would say. One of my all-time favorites is Marge's demise. Marge is a character that immediately as soon as you see her, you know that she's going to die. So it's not like this is a spoiler. But Marge's demise is a really, really cool scene and a really cool use of, like, I don't even know if it's prosthetics or if it's a mask, what exactly it is that they used, but it looks freaky and I like it. But also the absolute best scene in this film, perhaps what I would call the bread and butter, is the demonstration scene.
I mean, look at that.
Oh my god. The demonstration scene is incredible. Not only is it just like sinister and freaky, but again, the special and practical effects are so great. In this scene, listen, this is simple and it's so stupid and little and whatever. But in this scene, there is a close-up shot of a rattlesnake, and anytime I like see that rattlesnake, it makes me want to like bring my legs in as close as possible to my chest, because it's like you can see every like ridge on it, and it really like signals some primal responses in me seeing that rattlesnake. And as is the case in I think a few of Carpenter's works, again, I haven't seen every single thing John Carpenter has made, but I've seen enough to know that he does dabble quite a bit in like sci-fi themes, and that's definitely present here with like the company Silver Shamrock and a lot of, I've been calling them the goons, but also the army of Agent Coopers, because that's how they all look to me.
Damn.
There are a bunch of very weird, intimidating men in black that just like are there throughout the entirety of the film. Just these mysterious men in black. It does give me sci-fi feelings. There's some other elements to these guys though that bring up sci-fi as well, but I can't really discuss it because it is a spoiler. But listen, even though again, it's simple, right? It's just like men who are silent and staring at wearing suits. And there's like a large number of them. That's it, right? It's very simple. But at the same time, when I watch it, I find them intimidating. What is going on with my bangs, by the way? I do find the army of Agent Coopers very intimidating. It's very simple, but very effective and cool. And again, as you watch the film, you will see how it also aids in the sci-fi themes that Halloween 3 has. So yeah, I feel like I don't have too much more to say there, but I do want to make like a strong point of getting across that Halloween 3, the experience of watching Halloween 3, to me at least, is similar to the experience of watching like any other of John Carpenter's like classic works. Again, even though he didn't direct it, it seems like he perhaps helped write it. He was a producer on it. He obviously did the soundtrack. He helped with the practical effects. I'm sure there's even more stuff that he helped with the film that he has gone uncredited for. Like, yes, it's not technically his movie, but a lot of his staples and a lot of his same style is very prominent within Halloween 3. And so even though he didn't direct it, I still in my heart of hearts kind of consider Halloween 3 a John Carpenter movie. I've given up on my bangs. I don't know what's happening. Now, if you ask me, I believe that there is a lot of really cool, incredible, and freaky stuff happening in Halloween 3. I love it. Obviously, I love it enough to create an entire video on it, recommending it as the final film for October, and as a recommendation for what you should watch this Halloween night. However, I'm also going to be the very first person to admit that it's not perfect. It's definitely far from perfect. I will be the first person who loves this movie to admit that. Not only is it like a little bit goofy at times, but there are also plenty of moments where I can see it's easy to become confused by it. So like much of the setup itself already is a little bit goofy and questionable when it comes to like, I guess, how believable is this narrative? Because it's a doctor who is leaving work for, I want to say it's a week. I think realistically it's only about 3 or 4 days. But you have a doctor who's leaving work, and also he's bailing on taking his kids trick-or-treating to go gallivanting with this hot little mama whose father has vanished.
No, I can't remember the name of the hotel. I'll call you Monday. I gotta go. Bye.
And by the way, there's so much like sexual stuff happening between Dan and Ellie that is just like sudden and out of nowhere, and I don't really care for it. I feel like it has to be there because it's like, I don't know, you need the sex scene, I don't know, you need the love interest.
What I mean is, if you'd feel more comfortable, I could sleep in the car. Be better in this floor anyway.
Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?
Whatever. Whatever. Oh, but also not to mention that Dan is like the biggest man-hoe to ever exist. He flirts with every single female that he comes in contact with. The movie is goofy. I'm gonna admit, the movie is really goofy. There are moments that are trying to be serious that just come across as goofy. I'll be the first to admit it, but honestly, who doesn't love a little bit of goofiness in their horror movie, right? At least on this channel. If you're watching this channel, you probably like it. And even though I can get by these confusing moments and I still enjoy these goofy moments, I think there are for many, and especially probably when this came out. I'm sure all of these goofy and confusing moments are only going to make the absence of Michael Myers feel even more egregious. But I personally love them, and it makes it feel even more like a cheesy, bad B-movie, even though technically it's not supposed to be. It still carries over that like ambiance of a bad, cheesy B-movie, and I kind of love it for that. Like, for example, to go back to that demonstration scene, there's a moment during the demonstration scene where our hero Dan is watching it happen, and he's like really torn up about it and over the fact that he can't do anything to help. And so we just get this shot of him going, hold on, I have to. I don't know why that like one little thing cracks me up so bad, but it does. Just as and the antagonist's goals and motives in this film, I am going to admit, it's really confusing, it's really abstract, and it does feel like it gets skimmed over really quickly. I don't think it gets explained very well in the film, and not only are you wondering like, where's Michael, but you're also probably going to be wondering, where are the witches? This is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Where are the witches at? Halloween 3 Season of the Witch kind of has a very unconventional take to what we would consider as a witch. Not only is it combining witchcraft with more sci-fi elements and themes, but our witches are all men. And again, your first watch, perhaps even your first 2 watch, hell, your first 3 watches, you're probably going to watch this and be a little bit confused about like how this is related to witches, or even like who Cochrane is and what his motives and goals with everything are. Like, why is he doing this? And I say this because not only was I confused at first, but if I go a long period without watching this movie or really thinking about it, I also struggle to remember what his goals and motives are as well. And I also feel like I have reason to believe other people also struggle with understanding what the goals and motives of the antagonist are with this film, because I've talked to other people and it seems like everyone has a different take of what Conchran's goals and motives here are. Like, for example, my dad thought that he wanted to mind control the world, and mind control is far from what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to do something a little worse than mind control. And again, like I said, if I don't watch this for a long time, it takes me a while to remember what the answers are, because it's skimmed over really quick. They don't give nearly enough time to understanding what the fuck this movie is about than what they probably should. Like, for example, this time around, it took me until like, I think my 3rd watch watch to get the hang of what Conqueror was saying his goals and motives were, so that I could regurgitate it to you guys. Maybe I'm just slow, but I really have reason to believe that I'm not the only person who somewhat struggles to understand what the goal is. But after this third watch, I have it again. I'm ready to explain it to you. And so because of that, we are about to head into our spoiler territory of the video. Now, I'm calling this part a spoiler because the whole movie is like following this mystery and trying to get answers, and this section is me explaining the answers to you. Normally, I would not do this. However, I feel like it might actually help or aid in your viewing experience of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I feel like it might actually aid in your viewing of Halloween 3 if I sit here and explain to you what I can't even say Conqueror's name. If I sit here and explain to you what Conqueror's motives are, because I think if I sit here and spoil it and explain it to you guys, you will go into the movie having a clearer understanding of what the hell is going on. Because again, I don't think the film does a great job of, again, I love this movie. I don't think it does a great job of explaining its purpose to the audience. And so I'm going to consider this a spoiler warning section. I'm sure I have a timestamp up of where you can skip to. It's, of course, I leave spoilers for the last, so if you want, you can also just go ahead and skip to the conclusion. Normally, I would beg you to not watch the spoiler section, but like I said, I feel like perhaps me just going ahead and telling you is going to help your experience when you go in to watch this movie. So I don't care what you do. Skip or don't skip, I don't care, but I am about to explain the answers of the great silver shamrock mystery. Hey, by the way, do you like my pumpkins that I carved? Okay, so our antagonist is Conqueror, and he is a witch despite looking like an old Irish businessman. Now, I am not sure if he is just a witch or if he is meant to be like a supernatural, thousands of years old ancient witch, because they kind of cover both. Like there's one moment where he's talking about, oh, the people before me, and then there are other moments where it seems very heavily implied that yes, Conqueror is probably over 3,000 years old. I personally see Conqueror as an ancient witch. He probably was there for the last sacrifice. Don't know if that's the intentions. That seems to be the heavy implication, and that is what I personally believe or read. And Conqueror explains to our hero Dan what Halloween was in the old world.
You don't really know much about Halloween. You thought no further than the strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy.
Or like how the celebration of Samhain was initially started and what it initially represented, especially for those who practice the craft. And then he goes on to say some stuff about how, oh, the planets are in alignment.
In the end, we don't decide these things, you know. The planets do.
The planets always do be in alignment, though. They are yet again in perfect alignment. This hasn't happened in 3,000 years. 3,000 years ago, it was perfectly aligned for like, oh, this great celebration, this great sacrifice, mass sacrifice of animals and children to the Lord Samhain, that was performed by witches 3,000 years ago. Now the time has come and the planets are back in alignment, and so Conqueror as a witch who is going to do a mass sacrifice of children for the Lord Samhain on Halloween night, just like 3,000 years ago in the olden days.
Sacrifices are part of our world, our craft. Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment. It's not so different now.
hey, we don't decide these things, the planets do. I think this narrative is especially morbid in the fact that the antagonist is specifically targeting children. You know, usually for a slasher movie, it's like teenagers or young adults. But I feel like Halloween is especially morbid because the antagonist is wanting to kill as many children as possible for like I want to say it's a satanic sacrifice. Obviously it's not. It's a sacrifice to the Lord Samhain. But anyway, also a piece of Stonehenge. Is it Stonehenge or Stonehenge? A piece of Stonehenge is missing, and then you like Cochrane has it because it has like magical abilities, magical properties, and so little pieces of the rock are being put into the masks. And I want to also specifically point that out because I think the whole like Stonehenge thing is especially confusing and especially glanced over, and it's really easy to miss because of how briefly and quickly it gets discussed. Like, I love it near and dear, but I do admit it's not perfect. Okay, some of these weird plot devices that don't feel like they've been fully expanded upon is part of the fault that Halloween 3 has, I do admit. But hey, there are plenty of cheesy B movies that we all love, cult classics that we all love, that are the same way. So you know what? Whatever, right? It's not a big deal. Anyway, basically TLDR is that Cochrane is a witch, planets are aligned for a massive sacrifice to the Lord Samhain, and he has to sacrifice children, and so the masks are a combination of technology and ancient witchcraft to kill children in the name of Samhain. That's Halloween 3. And it takes me several rewatches to be able to remember that, because I do feel like the film doesn't do the greatest job of conveying it, I have to admit. But I do find it really cool, again, just how the film combines Irish folklore or witchcraft with modern technology or modern sci-fi horror elements. It's a really cool combination, but I also feel like they have a lot happening in this film, and because so much is happening and being mixed together or combined, it's like some elements are not as embellished as others, and not everything is given like full attention. Namely, the witch and witchcraft associations. I think that's probably the weakest link here. It's called Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Wow, I love this movie, and I feel like I'm just sitting here criticizing it a whole lot. But I do have to admit, it's called Season of the Witch, and the witch association, the witchcraft part, I feel like is the most skimmed over aspect of the film. It feels like they had this really cool goal of the combination of folklore and sci-fi, but it feels like the sci-fi like mostly takes over, and all of this like witch folklore stuff is really put on the back burner. Again, especially because it's not made super clear why Cochrane is doing this. I feel like they could have just made it a little clearer, just a little bit, like bring in some kind of more association with witchcraft. I do feel like it's confusing, and I've seen people feel confused over it, and I think it's understandable. Even though I do think what the film is doing is cool, it's like some more areas just need embellished a little bit more to like bridge the gap. Also, I want to note how every single time that I rewatch this film, I am so annoyed and upset by the fact that we don't get to learn very much about Santa Mira, which is the town that Silver Shamrock is in. Because when we are introduced to Santa Mira, it's like House of Wax levels of weird. Everyone's like watching Dan and Ellie as they enter the town, and it just is very strange and ominous. Not only are the other residents watching Dan and Ellie, but there's security cameras. There's security cameras all over the town. Oh, and also there's like a curfew. All of the residents have to abide by a curfew.
It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. Curfew. Curfew. All residents of Santa Mira, please clear the street. Curfew is now in effect. Please confine your activities to your own homes. Thank you.
And we don't get to know why. It's just weird. It's just weird and strange. And it feels like there are seeds of something being planted, but nothing ever comes of it. And I think it's, again, just like another example of how I feel like there's a lot of really cool stuff being combined and a lot of cool stuff happening in Halloween 3, but not everything gets brought out to the full extent. And I think Santa Mira itself is like one of those elements. You know, like the motel owner too, he makes the audience wonder how much the townies are aware of Cochran and his actions. How many of them are actually the same as him? Like, are the other townies also witches? Are they the same thing that all the Agent Coopers are? Which I still won't spoil, I guess, even though we're in a spoiler section. It just feels like there's a lot happening in the story that doesn't get fully explored. I think maybe instead of like having all this sexual tension between Dan and Ellie for some reason, maybe we could have abided like an extra 5 to 10 minutes explaining the association all of this has with like witchcraft, rather than it being like one single monologue told by a guy who speaks like he's telling you a riddle. I love the movie, but these are some of the faults that I think that it does have that I notice every time I rewatch it. And so I'm recommending this to you still because it gives the air and the vibe of a cheesy B movie in every regard, in the best possible way. But it does have its faults, and it does have moments where it's like confusing. Overall though, like, I just love it. I just love Halloween 3. I don't know. It holds like a safe little spot in my heart. The first time I ever watched it, I wasn't really expecting much from it, just because I had always heard over and over and over, Halloween 3 sucks. Halloween 3 sucks. Nobody likes Halloween 3. Halloween 3 is the worst Halloween film. Michael Myers isn't even in it. Halloween 3 is trash. And then when I finally sat down to watch Halloween 3, like on my first watch, immediately I was like, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. Literally all of the hate that it gets is just because Michael is not in it. That's it. This is the only reason this film gets hate, and it's just so undeserved. I think this is the most probably overhated movie in general ever. And it's so stupid, the reason people hate it. I love it. I think it is worth watching, and there are a lot of elements in it that just feel like a nice classic John Carpenter flick to me. I think because it takes place on Halloween night, it feels like a really nice Halloween night movie to watch. Like the music, the narrative, honestly, the Halloween masks themselves, and that stupid, annoying-ass commercial.
In 4 days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. In 4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
I'm sorry, but the commercial is low-key kind of genius, and I love it, and I love it when it gets stuck in my head, honestly. But every element of it is just, like, so cool and so, like, pure Halloween. I feel like it's such a bummer that what Halloween was meant to be, what the franchise was supposed to turn into, got ruined because people like Michael Myers so much. I do understand why people were so upset about Halloween 3 not having Michael in it. I think the initial concept of the Halloween franchise is really cool, and I'm really surprised nobody else has like gone forward and done it or recreated it or I guess revamped it in a way. So the only remnants of like this initial concept even existing is Halloween 3. And again, I think maybe that's why it holds like a near and dear space in my heart, because I love the initial concept for Halloween, and I wish that it could have been sought out in its full fruition, and I will always be depressed that Halloween did not turn into what it was supposed to. So I think Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is very definitely worth the watch. I just think it's like such a good, pure Halloween night movie to watch. I think it's very perfectly Halloween-y. I don't know. See, all of these adjectives, all the ways that I'm trying to describe it to you right now feel so foolish, because my main go-to is it's very Halloween-y. It's called Halloween. Whoa, it's almost like that's what the whole franchise was supposed to be, were these Halloween movies that feel very Halloween-y, that are perfect to watch on Halloween nights. Halloween Halloween 3 is a very fun, goofy, little cheesy, perfect horror sci-fi B-movie-esque like cult classic to watch on Halloween night. I know that many will say that the original Halloween is like the ultimate best Halloween night movie to watch. I don't think anybody who has that opinion is wrong. I mean, obviously it is like literally the Halloween movie, but I do think that there are like many other horror movies out there that exist that are also perfect for Halloween night viewing, and Halloween 3, in my honest opinion, is one of those flicks. And so this Halloween night, I hope that I have encouraged you to give the worst Halloween sequel a chance. It sits near and dear to my heart. I love Halloween 3. This pumpkin has no association with Halloween 3. I was just feeling maternal. For our final horror movie of October, what will I be giving it? What's the score? What's the score that Halloween 3 Season of the Witch has, in my opinion? As I said, this is going to perhaps be my most controversial video, and a lot of people are probably going to lose faith in me. A lot of people will probably find me to be uncredible. My opinions to not matter. However, I took all of that into account anyway when I started this channel. So out of spite, I am going to be placing Halloween 3 Season of the Witch into the S tier. If the people who hated this movie did not hate it so aggressively, and did not hate it so aggressively solely because Michael Myers is not in it, then I would maybe put this at like just an A tier. But because Halloween 3 is so unreasonably hated, like people don't give this movie the time of day just because it doesn't have Michael in it. Just because of that, fuck you, it's S tier. Michael isn't in it because his story is done. His story finished after Halloween 2. Go cry about it some more. You know that I'm right. You know that I'm right. Who liked Halloween after Halloween 4? Who remembers anything that happened? People are upset that Halloween 3 doesn't have Michael. We could have had something even more beautiful than Michael Myers if you weren't crybabies. So yeah, I really love this movie, and I'm very thankful and happy to see that over the last few years, Halloween 3 has gotten the very much deserved respect and recognition and cult following that it just very much deserves. But this is me doing my part of trying to convert more people to the dark side, of accepting the fact that Halloween 3 is a good movie. And with that, we are done with yet another movie review. Thank you guys so much if you stayed away around until the very end. If you like this video, please make sure you stab that like button. It is a free and easy way to help support this channel. Also, is there a horror movie that you would like to hear my opinion on, or that you would like me to see? Put it in the comments below, and maybe you will see it come up in a future video. Also, if you just like to hear me ramble about this horror movie so much that you would like to hear me ramble about more horror movies, either underrated pieces such as Halloween 3 or obscure cinema, B-movies, sometimes I dabble in disturbing cinema as well. If you would like more of that, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified every time I make a new upload. Which new uploads are every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the screen as well are some of my socials if you wish to follow me. And just one final thank you so much if you made it all the way until the very end. Our time here is precious, and the fact that you have used your time to sit here and listen to me ramble about how much I love the most hated Halloween sequel to ever exist, thank you. Just thank you very much. Thank you for hearing me out. I also hope you guys have a really wonderful Halloween weekend as well. Although I'm recording this on Tuesday, so the 28th, Halloween evening, I am going to be going to a little party that one of my friends has, and I'm very excited. And I also usually hand out candy during trick or treat. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys are doing for Halloween or what you did do. I'm very curious, and I also like to hear about everyone else's like festive Halloween things. I don't know. Halloween is my personal favorite holiday, as I'm sure it is for most people who are following my channel. So I do just want to give one final thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me. And I really, really hope that you have a wonderful Halloween evening. If I do not see you in any posts, then I will see you in the next video. But until then, please have a great Samhain and be safe out there.
No, I'm not drunk. Listen, you have to get rid of the mask. Just... Linda, listen.